Hey, sweet tooths, do we like to enjoy ourselves, right? Do we like sweets, right? But it's also important to take care of ourselves a little, so today we're gonna make 3 super tasty sweets with a healthy touch. Starting with this authentic marvel you see on the screen, a creamy oatmeal dessert, perfect for any occasion. We start by putting 2 cups of water in a saucepan. Here we're going to add some flavor with 2 cinnamon sticks and also a good splash of essence. Vanilla extract or essence. We're going to let it come to a boil over medium or medium-high heat, and we'll leave it in for about 3 minutes. Then we remove the cinnamon so we don't end up with sticks in the mixture. And we add rolled oats, 100 grams or 3/4 of a cup. We add it and then immediately start stirring. We're going to keep stirring it so it absorbs the moisture and turns into a more or less dry paste. Just like that. It only takes a minute or 2, so you'll have it quickly. What we'll do now is add more liquid, in this case milk. Also 2 cups, 400 milliliters, 1 and 2, like this, directly inside to make as little mess as possible. And the technique is the same, we keep stirring it and now we have it on medium heat. And remember that as you keep mixing, always without stopping, you'll notice how it gradually turns into a cream that's a little bit thicker each time. When it reaches a texture that's already interesting, that you could already eat but you still want it a little bit thicker, that's the moment to add the sweetener. I use erythritol, but you can use whichever one you like best. If you want it creamier, you could add something other than the typical sweetener. Well, condensed milk. It's a bit less healthy, but honestly, it also tastes amazing. Stir it for another minute and look how creamy it gets. Dessert is ready. You can serve it in individual pretty cups like these for dessert, and it turns out great. That's right, when serving it, you can enjoy it hot like this, or you can chill it in the fridge or refrigerator. I like it for breakfast because it gives you a lot of energy, so that's how I serve it. I'll let it cool down a bit, and then I'm gonna put it in the fridge or refrigerator. So as soon as I wake up, it'll be ready for me to enjoy. With cups of this size, you'll get 3 or 4. If you want it yogurt style, you'll get almost twice as much. But you know me, I go for big recipes and big servings. Well, like I said, into the fridge or refrigerator. In my case, right here, nothing fancy, no need to complicate things. And once it's nice and cool, then it's time to enjoy. If you want to drink it hot, you can just wait 2 or 3 minutes, so it doesn't boil too much and you don't burn yourself. Well, next day, breakfast time, and I'm ready to enjoy. And for that, I'm going to give it the final touch, which adds aroma, flavor, and decoration all at once. Yes, 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 because I'm going to take advantage of the qualities of cinnamon by sprinkling a little ground cinnamon on top. Look at this fantastic dish I've made in no time. It's perfect for dessert or breakfast. Look, 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 how amazing this looks. Creamy, with that touch of cinnamon that drives me crazy. Look, 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 how creamy it is with milk. But yes, how delicious, how delicious. I'm sure you're craving to dig in with a spoon, right? Of course. But before you get started, look at this amazing thing I'm showing you. Now it's a dessert, in this case a cheesecake. Doesn't it look tempting? The first thing we do is prepare the mold we're going to use. And even though mine is made of silicone, and as you can see, it's 20 centimeters in diameter. What I like to do is brush it with butter so it comes out more easily later. Next, I prepare the cream. It's simple, 10.5 ounces of cream cheese or spreadable cheese. I put it in a large bowl and use the same spatula, scraper, spatula, or whatever you want to call it. We stir it around until it gets really creamy. Once it's nice and creamy, we add eggs. Specifically, 3 large ones size L, which are supposed to weigh more than 63 grams. We stir it around until it's more or less mixed in as well. It doesn't have to be perfect, just more or less mixed. And then we add sweetener to taste. In my case, erythritol. I guess you can already imagine that it's time to stir again, so everything mixes perfectly. Then we add the last ingredient, heavy cream, whipping cream, or whatever you call it. Specifically 300 milliliters or 1.5 cups. And once again, we give it the final touch. We stir it one last time. And with that, into the mold we prepared at the beginning. Once you have it inside, what are you gonna do? Well, simply make use of every last drop and into the oven. With that, we have it preheated to 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 355 Fahrenheit with heat from above and below. And we're going to leave it until it's set, until you see that it's golden on the surface. At this moment, as seen here, we remove it. In my case, it took almost 50 minutes. Once we have it, we let it cool down a bit. Look how it looked right when it came out of the oven, and when it's a bit warm, we pick it up. It will have gone down in volume a bit, and we take it to the fridge or refrigerator so it finishes setting and turns out perfect. Normally, 2 hours is more than enough. If you want to prepare it the day before to avoid stress, that's no problem. It will be delicious and perfect. Finally, remove it from the mold and enjoy. So move the mold a little and do this, then transfer it to a plate. It will end up upside down. And then you place another plate on top and it's ready to serve and present. Voila, look, 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 look. It looks amazing, so creamy, so creamy. And now, the most important thing, just like with desserts and with people, is what's inside. And don't tell me you don't feel like taking a bite. Look at that slice, that slice, that slice. Oh my, I'm dying here. Creamy, just the way I like it. A fantastic dessert, perfect for any occasion. So if you have guests, take note. And if you want to treat yourself to something sweet every now and then, you can't miss out on this wonder. It has oats, it has chocolate, and it's absolutely delicious. The first thing I do is toast the rolled oats a little, about 120 grams or 1 cup. You simply put them in a non-stick pan over medium heat until you see they get a slightly golden color. You just have to stir occasionally and wait a few minutes. When you see that they darken a little bit, they're ready. On the other hand, we take a food processor or a powerful blender and add a cup of nuts, whichever you prefer. In my case, a mix. And you add this oatmeal that we just toasted all inside. Now what we'll do is simply close the machine and let it run. We're going to mix like this, grinding so it gets finely chopped, and we'll leave it like that for a few seconds. When you see that it's a more or less uniform powder, you're going to add some moisture to it. I add 3 tablespoons of sugar because that's how I'm making it. Very healthy, very fit, but you could add a sweet touch at this point if that's what you're looking for. So I'll leave you that option. You add about 3 tablespoons more or less of liquid. Close it again and blend it again until you get a thicker kind of paste. We'll use this to make the bars. To check if the texture is perfect, take a little with a spoon and press it down. If it forms a kind of cookie that you can break apart, something like this, it means the texture is perfect. Then you take this wonderful mixture we just made and divide it more or less in half. And that's how you know how to assemble it. We're going to put half of it in a container, in my case, a Tupperware about 20 centimeters long by 12 wide. You drop in half, just like I told you. There you go, make sure we don't miss any. Perfect. And what we'll do is press this magic powder full of oats and nuts. Spread it evenly and press it down, even using a glass afterward to make sure it's really packed. On the other hand, we put 100 grams or half a bar of chocolate in a double boiler. You can give it different flavors just by using the chocolate you prefer. Look, I'm going to make it really strong with a 72% cocoa chocolate and no sugar at all to take care of myself a little. But you can use whichever you want. If you want it sweet, you can use a chocolate that already has sugar in it. Another trick that I also know works great. You use milk chocolate for half and the other half with dark chocolate or baking chocolate. That turns out absolutely irresistible. In a saucepan with water underneath, and the heat will transfer to the one I have on top. So little by little you stir it, and the chocolate, if you have it chopped up a bit, turns into a chocolate sauce like this. in just a moment. Now, the magic touch. 1/3 of a cup or 50 grams of peanut butter, which we call differently in each country, without sugar or anything, just pure butter, which is simply ground peanuts stirred around. And as soon as it melts and blends perfectly, this spectacular little sauce will be ready. We're also going to put half, just like before, in this case of the chocolate, over the mold. Remember, we have a base with half of the nut mixture, and here, half of the chocolate on top. What we'll do is spread it out a little and even move the mold a bit, because since it's liquid, that will help you get a flat, smooth, and even layer. Wait a few seconds and cover it with the rest of the wonderful mixture from the beginning, the one we had with oats and nuts. Again, we'll have to spread it out so it forms an even layer, and we'll also press it down, just a little, with this same spatula and the bottom of a spoon, which is perfect for this. It seems like a tool designed for just that. Once you've flattened it a bit and pressed it down, you add the rest of the chocolate. There you go. Remember, chocolate with peanut butter. Try it if you haven't before. That combination is always a winner. Spread the chocolate very well so that you get a flat, thin, and smooth layer. And now, let's decorate. You can use the same trick, the same peanut butter. You make some lines like this, perfect, and then with a toothpick or a small knife, you make some lines to give it a bit of texture. Look how nice it turns out, and you see that with very little effort, you can give it a different finish. Beautiful, quick, and it almost looks like you bought it. But you do need to let it rest in the fridge or refrigerator for at least 2 hours so the flavors and the texture can set. Once that time has passed, you can take it out and enjoy. Although, let me remind you that you can prepare it a day in advance without any problem. So you take it out. Are you taking advantage of this parchment paper we had here? And let's get to cutting. You can make the portions however you want, but I like them to be big, like individual cakes. So today you can enjoy yourself and take care of yourself at the same time, 2 for 1. And you know what I always say, the best part of desserts is always on the inside, and the inside of this dessert speaks for itself. A soft texture with toasted oats inside, which is truly a delight. Look at that cake! Look at that cake! Look at that slice! I'm sure you'd want to have one nearby every time you get a little hungry. An ideal dessert with that healthy touch. I hope you got some ideas, that you liked all 3, and that you tell me in the comments, what's your favorite healthy dessert like this? Please let me know which of the 3 options you liked best. Whether it's the creamy wonder from the beginning, this cheesecake, or the chocolate dessert at the end. I'll leave it in your hands, let me know in the comments. Just like I'm putting this other video here for you, click on the little box that YouTube tells me is going to be your next favorite video.